Your Social Security benefits are about to change in ways you never expected, and some of these changes might shock you. Today, we're breaking down the major overhaul happening at the Social Security Administration right now. You'll discover who's really behind these changes, how AI is taking over nearly half of all Social Security calls, and why thousands of government workers were just laid off. Plus, I'll reveal the new policies that could cut your benefits by 50% and show you exactly what you need to do to protect yourself. Stick around because at the end, I'll share the one change that's actually putting more money in people's pockets and how you can make sure you're getting every dollar you deserve. Welcome to Financial Area, where we cut through the confusion to bring you the financial facts that matter most. If this kind of straight-talk financial information helps you stay informed, hit that like button and subscribe for more updates that could save you thousands. Let's talk about who's now running the show at Social Security. His name is Frank Bisignano, and if you haven't heard of him before, you're not alone. This isn't your typical government insider. Bisignano comes straight from the world of big finance and tech, where he ran a massive payment processing company before stepping into this role. President Trump brought him in earlier this year with one very specific mission: make Social Security more digital, more efficient, and significantly less expensive to operate. The theory sounds reasonable enough. If you can modernize an outdated system, you might be able to stretch the available money further without having to slash benefits. But here's where things get interesting. Bisignano isn't working alone, and he's not just pushing through a few simple website updates. He's partnering closely with a group called DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. If that name sounds unfamiliar, it's because this department didn't exist before Trump's current term. Elon Musk helped launch DOGE as a way to overhaul bloated government programs using engineers, analysts, and technology borrowed directly from private companies. Their mission was to clean house and cut waste, but they've also created quite a bit of controversy along the way. Earlier this year, DOGE was responsible for laying off 7,000 people from Social Security offices. That's not a typo, 7,000 workers. They also came close to shutting down numerous field offices until a federal judge stepped in with a temporary order to stop them. That's a massive shakeup for a system that was already struggling with long wait times and overwhelmed staff. But the controversy doesn't stop there. DOGE was caught accessing Social Security databases in ways that raised serious privacy red flags. A lower court actually ruled against them, finding they had potentially violated federal law in how they were handling sensitive personal information. But then the Supreme Court stepped in and reversed that decision, essentially giving DOGE the green light to continue their operations. This has a lot of people genuinely worried, and for good reason. We're not talking about just any government agency here. This is where your entire lifetime of work credits are tracked, where your complete income history is stored, and where your retirement and disability benefits live. If something goes wrong with this system, it's not just a minor computer glitch. It can mean missed payments, identity problems, and even fraud. And here's the reality that makes this even more concerning. Not everyone has the tools or knowledge to go online and fix these problems themselves, especially if you're 75 years old and have never used a smartphone. So why is all of this happening so fast? According to Bisignano and the Trump administration, it comes down to one word: survival. Social Security is genuinely running out of money. The number of people collecting benefits is growing much faster than the number of people paying into the system. Unless something dramatic changes, there could be significant benefit cuts within the next decade. That's why they're betting big on artificial intelligence. Right now, about 44% of all calls to the Social Security hotline are being handled by AI systems and automated bots. That's nearly double what it was just 1 year ago, and they want to push that number above 50% very soon. The stated goal is shorter wait times, and honestly, most of us can appreciate that idea. Who hasn't been stuck on hold for close to an hour just trying to get a simple answer to a basic question? But here's the problem, and it's a big one. It's not working well for everyone. Many people report that the bots send them in endless circles. Others get completely stuck without any option to speak to an actual human being. And if you're calling about something complicated or you need help understanding what a confusing letter means, that bot simply might not be able to help you. So yes, it might be faster, but it's not necessarily more helpful, especially when you really need assistance. Now let's talk about access, because this is where things get really frustrating for a lot of people. It's now much harder to simply walk into a Social Security office for help. Many basic services, like changing your bank information or verifying your identity, now have to be done either online or through a scheduled appointment system. That might not sound too unreasonable if you're comfortable with computers and technology, but here's the reality that policymakers seem to be overlooking. Almost half of older Americans don't have reliable internet access at home. Some don't even have an email address. So what exactly happens to those people? That's the question that's making many folks really uneasy. It feels like we're racing ahead with a shiny new digital system, but we're leaving behind the very people who need help the most. There's another policy change that's causing real financial stress for people right now: the return of much stricter overpayment recovery rules. Here's how this works. Let's say Social Security accidentally sends you too much money in 1 month. That's their mistake, right? But under the new policy, they can now take up to 50% of your future monthly check to recover that overpayment. That's a massive increase. It used to be capped at just 10% under the previous administration. Some people are already feeling this impact, especially those living on fixed incomes where literally every dollar matters. Imagine suddenly losing half of your monthly check because of a mistake you didn't make. But it's not all bad news. There is actually some genuinely good news hidden in all of these changes. One of the most popular updates that happened recently is called the Social Security Fairness Act. It was signed into law earlier this year and fixed a long-standing problem that was affecting teachers, firefighters, and other public service workers. These workers were having their Social Security benefits unfairly reduced because of how their government pensions were calculated. Thanks to this new law, about 3 million people are now seeing higher monthly benefits, and some are even receiving retroactive payments that go all the way back to January of last year. This is one of those rare moments where both political parties actually agreed on something that helps real people. Another change that might be helpful is the digital Social Security card that's launching this summer. You'll be able to access it through your phone using the My Social Security website. The idea is to make it easier to prove your Social Security number without having to carry around that fragile paper card that falls apart if you look at it wrong. This could be genuinely useful in situations like job applications or bank visits. But once again, we have to ask, what about people who don't have smartphones or who aren't comfortable using apps? It's designed to make life easier, but it could accidentally create new barriers if we're not careful about implementation. The Social Security Administration says that fraud prevention is a major reason behind all of these changes, and the numbers they cite are pretty staggering. Last year alone, nearly $9 billion was lost due to various types of overpayments and fraud. That's an enormous amount of money. But critics argue that many of the solutions being implemented are like using a sledgehammer when you really need a precision screwdriver. For example, direct deposit fraud actually accounts for less than 1% of all payment errors, yet it's being cited as one of the main reasons for pushing through these major systemic changes. So it's worth asking, are we actually solving the right problems or are we creating new ones? There's this real tension happening right now between modernization and accessibility. On one hand, there's absolutely a legitimate need to upgrade computer systems that are literally decades old and struggling to keep up with current demands. On the other hand, we can't forget who Social Security was actually designed to serve: seniors, people with disabilities, and low-income individuals who need help the most. If we're not extremely careful about how we implement these changes, the very people this system was built to protect could end up getting left behind. The reality is that most of these changes won't hit everyone all at once this year, but the foundation is being laid right now. The systems are being redesigned, staffing levels are being changed, and the basic tools people use to access their benefits are shifting. So even if you don't feel the impact today, it could significantly affect how you interact with Social Security tomorrow.